What's up, Meta Nerds? This video is all about the Alpha 3 Nimbus class V-Wing Starfighter, or simply the V-Wing. It was manufactured by Kuat Systems Engineering, a subsidiary of Kuat Drive Yards, a company that also produced the Delta 7 Jedi Starfighter, as well as a lot of other Republic and Imperial vehicles and ships. Brand new, it cost 102,500 credits, which is a price point that puts it right in between a TIE Fighter and an X-Wing. Overall, it had a smaller profile than a TIE Fighter, being slightly longer, but also slightly shorter. At 7.9 meters or 25 feet long, it was about the same length as 1.5 Maybachs. And with the wings extended, it was 5.84 meters or about 20 feet tall, making it roughly the size of a two-story building. But what's really impressive is just how narrow it is. At 3.8 meters or about 12 feet wide, this ship had a smaller profile than 4 Ewoks laying end to end. With a top atmospheric speed of 1,450 kilometers per hour, or about 900 miles per hour, it was nearly twice as fast as a TIE bomber, and about 300 miles per hour slower than an F-18 Hornet. Now, we mentioned that it was built by the same company that made the Delta 7, and likewise, the V-Wing was also used by Jedi. And what's pretty amazing is that both ships were actually engineered by a guy named Walex Blissex. He would later join the Rebellion, and was involved in the designing of the A-Wing. For weapons, the V-Wing had a pair of mounted laser cannons on each wing, and these cannons were located on a swivel, making it more complicated for the gunner, but it also gave the V-Wing a much wider range of fire, though some variants had flak guns and proton bombs. And these wings actually served a dual purpose, so that they could fold down and act as landing gear. And to help disperse some of that heat generated by the laser cannons, each wing has its own radiator panel. Now, what was really nice about the V-Wing is that it did come equipped with shielding. And again, because this ship is so small, and they still wanted to pack all this stuff into it, it required these two large deflector shield heat sinks in the back. Below these were located the two ion drive thrusters, so I guess you could say it had twin ion engines. Working our way forward, we see the astromech droid socket. Here's where a Q7 series astromech droid would usually be inserted, and it would help the pilot from everything from flight navigation, targeting assistance, and maintenance. The astromech would also be helpful in plotting hyperspace coordinates, because although it didn't have a hyperdrive on board, like the Jedi Starfighter, the V-Wing was designed to take advantage of hyperspace transport rings, and the Q-series astromech could help make complicated 10-point jumps. Now, I've already pointed out a lot of similarities between the V-Wing and the TIE Fighters, but they had one more similarity, and that is that their pilots needed to have their own life support systems integrated into their suits. These clone troopers had adapted helmets, which, similar to TIE pilots, were connected to a suit which provided them life support and temperature regulation. We don't have an exact date, but it makes sense that the history of the V-Wing starts with the commissioning of the clone army around 32 BBY. It served as a nice counterpart to the heavier ARC 170 Starfighter, and while the V-Wing didn't pack as much firepower, it definitely made up for it with its speed and agility. And the way it worked is that a Venator class Star Destroyer would be packed full of 192 V-Wings on average, and this massive swarm of fighters could be unleashed at any moment, creating absolute havoc for the CIS Navy. And it's said that the V-Wings were so quick that even the highly advanced droid Tri-Fighters had a hard time getting a lock. They definitely earned the respect of clone troopers throughout the Clone Wars, and after the Republic became the Empire, they continued to be used for some time, and some were even modified for hyperspace travel, and I guess just to make TIE pilots feel bad, some V-Wings were upgraded with even better shields. But the average V-Wing stayed mostly the same from the ones used during the Clone Wars, except for some paint differences, and for some reason the lack of an astromech. And what's really cool is that you can see 3 V-Wings escorting Emperor Palpatine's shuttle, both to and from Mustafar, when he rescues Darth Vader and brings him back to his surgical reconstruction center. And then only months into the new Empire, there were already resistance forces which were trying to scoop up some V-Wings, and some were used against an Imperial ship which Darth Vader was on, but of course these were destroyed. Later, the Hutt cartel was interested in buying up some salvaged V-Wings, and there were also Mandalorians who maintained and improved V-Wings for their own use. And then the last time we see a V-Wing is actually 13 years after the Battle of Yavin, when Imperial remnant forces known as the Restored Empire also kept this trusted starfighter in service. Well, that's it for its history, but you definitely want to hear these cool facts and behind-the-scenes stuff. They thought about using TIE fighters to escort Palpatine's shuttle to and from Mustafar, or later as the ships that were patrolling the construction of the Death Star, but they decided to keep it with V-Wings, and left in some audio cues that made them sound even more similar to TIE fighters than normal. They were in a whole bunch of different video games, and was actually one of the most prized ships in Star Wars galaxies. And in Empire at War Forces of Corruption, we get to see how Mandalorians put these things to use, with their V-Wings being upgraded with ion cannons. And the V-Wing has been confirmed for Battlefront 2, coming out in 2017. If you liked it, go ahead and hit that like button, and be sure to leave a comment down below if I missed any cool facts, or if you have a suggestion for future videos. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at MetaNerdsLore, so you can see us build Star Wars props and cosplays, along with some other cool Star Wars stuff. If you want to help support this channel, check out the description below for our Amazon store and our Patreon. And be sure to subscribe, because we're making videos like this every single day. But more important than all that, remember, the Empire could just put in extra shielding, they just don't want to. And the Force will be with you, always.